Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. Today we're looking at setting the HOTAS or joystick controls for the Mig-19P. Now when I say HOTAS, I mean the two-part joystick. So you've got the right side of your HOTAS, which is the control stick, the left side, which is the thrust stick, and all the buttons on it. Now I'm going to show setting up my type of stick, which is an X56 Cytec. You will probably have something different, but as I go I will explain where I'm setting the buttons, and then you can have a similar layout to me if you wish. And that's always going to be useful if you're watching our kind of training videos or tutorial videos. Although the most useful part about this video is going to be showing which buttons you need to set of all the hundreds that are available to set. Just a general note, as I always say, if you've got lots of planes like me, then try and make your controls as uniform as possible for the various planes. So if you've got an air brake button that you use for one aircraft, use that same button for all of the aircraft to keep things uniform. Okay, let's get started. Options. Controls. In here we're going to have Mig-19P. And to explain how this works, we've got the action in this column here. There are hundreds of them, but we only need a few of them on our HOTAS. Here is the category from which the action belongs. Here is the keyboard bind you've currently got set up for the action. Here is the left HOTAS command button that you've got set up for the action, and here is the right HOTAS, the control stick side. As ever, we're going to start on the axis, so we're going to go this menu here and axis. And I've already got my axis, everything set up, so we're going to basically tape over what I've got. First thing, you'd always want zoom view, an axis for zoom view. This allows you to zoom in and out, kind of like your optical, your eyes, and you'll struggle without it. So we're going to put this on the left control, the left HOTAS. So we're going to double click this box here. I've got a turning knob on the top of my left HOTAS thrust stick. Turn it one way, turn it the other. It's picked it up. Now check it, and that's working fine. Next is the thrust. We've got two engines, so I have a splittable throttle. So I'm now going to split them, and I'm now going to do my left throttle. Double click here. Sorry, right throttle. Move the right one forward. Move it back. Okay. Test it. And the left, move it forward, move it back, okay, and test it. Lovely. Next we've got rudder, roll and pitch on the right control stick. So on the right HOTAS we're going to do rudder. I use the twist ability of the right stick. Twist it left, twist it right, okay, test it. Now with these rudder, roll and pitch for the control stick, you will always want to set an axis tune. So once it's set, highlight it, axis tune. And you'll want to first of all set a curvature, and my standard curvature is 25 for all of my aircraft to keep them all the same. And what this does is it gives us more detail, more resolution around the small movements of the stick and less around the high movements of the stick, because you'll very rarely, if ever, want to use the high movements of the stick. If the red dot is outside the black box while the stick is in its neutral position, you will need to add dead zone to cover where that red dot is, so it does not give an input signal when the stick is in a neutral position. Okay, next roll, double click, move the stick right, move it left, okay, test, tune, just within that black box. I think we can just about get away with that. Curvature 25, okay, next pitch, stick forward, stick back, okay, tune. We are slightly outside that box, we are going to have to add a little bit of dead zone there, and curvature there. Okay, and I forgot to test it. Yep, that's fine. That's the axis done. Now we're going to move on to the more binary commands. So we're going to start with the left HOTAS. We're going to change this here to search. First thing, let's have an auto start and an auto stop. Always useful. So auto start there. And we're going to set this to an iron switch, on off switch on the top right of the base of the control. Up position is going to be start. And then we're going to have the down position as stop. Next is our flaps. So flaps here. I have a four-way switch on the right, very right bottom side of the left HOTAS thrust lever, and I'm going to use 3 of those commands to do our flaps. So we want landing position. I'm going to have that in the down position of that switch. Off or up, I'm going to have that in the up position. And takeoff, so what I call the medium position, in right, and I'm going to have it in left. So right and left are going to have flaps to the medium position, down is down, landing position, up is off. That's that done. Next we need air brake, and now this one's a little bit funny. Brake. So we've got speed brake, press and hold, Or we've got speed brake cycle. I couldn't get speed brake cycle switch to work. I don't know why. I've tried it loads of times. I bind it to my joystick and it doesn't work. It does work with most other people, but just bear in mind that if it doesn't work, then it's just something, maybe it's to do with the X56, I don't know, it's just a thing. So I use the push to use, this one here, where you hold your finger on it and that's where the speed brake is working, and then if you let go of the switch, then the speed brake is no longer working. I'm going to use the four-way switch above the four-way switch for my flaps on the right side of the thrust lever, and I'm going to use the down position for that for holding on my air brake, and you just have to get used to doing that. Next is a useful little blighter. If we go to cage, we'll find it. Temporary reticle cage. So our gun sight is gyro driven. It can be caged or uncaged. If we want to temporarily cage it, and you will if you want to do any kind of harsh maneuvers when your gun sight is uncaged, this is actually quite a big thing you need to learn, then we're going to set that. I'm going to set it to a single button on the right hand side of my thrust stick. I usually reserve for autopilot, but we have no autopilot, so we're going to do that there. Ping. And that is the left HOTAS done. We don't have any countermeasures to worry about. So next, we're going to move to the right stick. I'm just going to link my throttles together before I forget. So let's start with the right control stick, and the first is going to be the trigger. I'm going to set this to the main trigger on the right control stick. Now that trigger fires all of the weapons that the MiG-19 has at the moment. Notice that if we type bomb in here, there is a bomb pickle button. And that's not used for anything at the moment, but it's possible it may be used for something in the future for this aircraft. So I'm going to set it to the second trigger on my right control stick in case that gets used later. Next, I'm going to set my wheel brake. How am I going to find that wheel brake there? And I'm going to set it, I always have my wheel brake set to a kind of trigger at the very bottom of and the front of the control stick. It's just where I set it. And I'm going to have that there. Okay, next I'm going to have the radar controls. You can get to these switches fairly easily for the radar, but it's worth having them set up on your HOTAS, I think. First of all, to turn the thing on, to turn it to active, then standby, then off, we have this here, and I'm going to put it on the right control stick, a button at the front, bottom at the front, that I would usually use for noseable steering, but we don't have that in this aircraft, so it's free. So I'm going to put that there. Then set in the tracking antenna. So this is what I would call the lock button. It locks onto a target essentially. And I have a standard lock button. It's a third trigger on the very top of the control stick for me. That's where I'm going to have mine. And that's that done. Next, we're going to set up our trim. So in here, trim, and it's the standard. I'm going to use a four-way switch. I always use for my trim on the very top right of my control stick. And we're going to go the downward side of it, and the left movement of it, and the right movement of it, and the up movement of it. And all we're going to need now is our optical gun ranging, and that's something you will need on your HOTAS. So I'm going to type in ranging. That doesn't work. Range, here they are. Optical target, range decrease and increase. I'm going to have them on a four-way switch on the bottom right of the very top head of the right joystick control stick. I'm going to have decrease on the down movement of that switch. Yes, that's right, decrease. Got these the wrong way around by the looks of it. And increase on the up movement of that switch. And that's everything I'm going to be needing. So we've got an extra button there for the bomb pickle, but otherwise everything there is as we want it. That's the basic skeleton. You may want to add extra controls if you want, and that's fine. Other than that, I hope that helps, and see you later.